Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumption or belief.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Monday, 3rd of February, 2025. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you're on Facebook, you're our family. You like to push buttons, and you have 7 choices over there. So clickety click away.
I mean, everybody likes pushing buttons.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fun.
it's like a human hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, may not necessarily the best hobby, but it is a hobby.
it's a hobby.
It's a hobby. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Got F. Clint in the house.
Yo, F. Clint, what's going on, man?
Got Randoon in the house.
Hey, Randoon, I was in your neck of the woods all weekend.
Santino was in Boulder Shitty all
It
weekend.
wasn't both. It's not Boulder shit. It's a nice little town.
I know it is.
I know. It's just typical Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah,
you know.
whatever.
Miss Angie.
Hey, Ange, what's going on?
Chachi.
Hey, Chachi.
Miss Wendy.
Hey, Wendy, what's going on?
I hope everyone had a great weekend.
Yeah, I hope everybody did have a great weekend.
Ours was busy.
It was a busy
Santino
weekend.
was working in Boulder City all weekend on a house, and I did nothing but Texas.
Yeah, we had big plans about making these little emoji things.
Which we will get them done.
We'll get them done eventually.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, we got Chops in the house over
Hey,
on
Chops,
Pilled.
what's going on?
So that's awesome.
That is awesome.
So right before we went live, the things with the tariffs shot off. So I'm good.
Well, before, as she was
setting it up.
Hey, Steph. Yeah, when she was in the middle of setting it up, and there's got to be a cutoff time to try to get info in, but some things are just important enough that we got to throw everything out of whack. It makes Kay so happy.
No, it doesn't.
No, because she likes everything. The German comes out. There will be everything in order, and it will be done properly.
Yes.
But yeah, and then you throw a wrench in it. Yeah, she should be great at like running the train schedules or something. Make sure everything's there on time. Otherwise, there's going to be hell to pay.
Right. So I got 3 videos on the tariffs from Canada and Mexico. I'm going to play that, and then we're going to discuss.
Look
Ready?
forward to being 51st state.
Let's listen.
All right. Hey, Colleen.
We can now report that the Trump administration will be delaying by at least 30 days those tariffs against Canada that were set to take effect at midnight tonight. We're getting this out of Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau posting on social media just now that he had a good call with President Trump that had been scheduled for 3 p.m., that Canada will be implementing a $1.3 billion border plan, sending nearly 10,000 frontline personnel to be working on protecting the border. He'll be appointing a new fentanyl czar, listing cartels as terrorists. A lot of requirements here, and saying that proposed tariffs finally will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. Now, we have not gotten official word from the White House on this just yet, although this is the same pattern we saw earlier today. We saw the news come first out of Mexico before the White House confirmed it. We heard President Trump say just a few minutes ago to reporters that the second call with Trudeau today had gone very well. But when asked whether tariffs were still going to be going into place tonight, he said, just watch. Now we know from Canada that these will be delayed along with those from Mexico. We'll just be watching to wait and see what's happening with China. Guys, back over to you.
All right.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. What's going on?
And Carol.
And Carol.
And
yeah.
Colleen.
And Colleen. Yeah, everybody's showing up.
Yeah.
Rolling on in.
Uh-huh.
All right. So,
do you want me to play these other two?
I mean, do you want the other? I mean, that one pretty much covered, everything.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so that way we can run on with
Yeah.
the rest of the show that you had planned already. So, let's see. Everybody was worried about tariffs. Oh my God, everything's going to get so expensive. Blah. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, we're going to delay those tariffs. Hey, Peg, thanks for joining. Anyway, so these tariffs all of a sudden they're going to be put on hold, and now we're going to get the kind of support we needed. It's no different than what was being done with Greenland. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to make you the 51st state. Obviously, there was something there that made Denmark decide to all of a sudden put more of a military presence on Greenland. So that way, President Trump all of a sudden stopped talking about annexing Greenland. And I think that that's exactly what the concept was. Although President Trump is still talking about making Canada the 51st state. I did hear him and some of him and a part of his press statement earlier today when he was talking about
that
everything.
video. I'm not playing it today, but I have it.
Okay. So yeah, he's still talking about Canada being the 51st state. That means that there's something else that we need out of Canada based off of all of the problems that, we were supposed to have this unsecured border, and Canada betrayed that trust. This is what I really believe a lot of this boils down to.
Yes.
Now, so Mexico decided to send 10,000 troops to the border, the southern border, to stop the flow of illegal immigration
and
fentanyl, and to create an anti-drug task force that's going to be working with the United States. Also, Canada has had to do the exact same thing. Going to put 10,000 troops at the northern border and make sure that they appoint a drug czar, a fentanyl czar. And so now Canada is going to be playing along. Now we're not the Lone Ranger anymore, and everybody else gets to play along. So what does this mean in the long run? Well, it means that it's going to significantly reduce the flow of all of these things. If those countries, both Canada and Mexico, are applying the appropriate amount of pressure, and that's why it's kind of paused right now, as opposed to, okay, we're not going to do tariffs anymore. He didn't take them off the table. He just said, we're going to hold off on it. And so if they don't do their end of the deal, well, then I guess you're going to have to pay more for Canadian goods, because from what I understand, Canada has already had significant problems trying to get stuff across the border and recognizing that they have to pay a lot of money. Therefore, the big corporate interests that are in Canada and own Trudeau have said, hey, this is going to make it so we can't have business anymore. You need to find out, at least in a phone call, what President Trump wants. And if it's not something ridiculous, then you need to just basically drop your drawers, and deal with what he says. Despite all of the tough talk, that they were doing on both sides. Oh, it's going to hurt America. Yet they're the ones that are bending the knee. So, yeah. Trump doing some more winning, and it's going to make us that much safer. And they are now allies in a way to make sure that we can fight these problems, these international problems, and the North American problems that we have together. Yeah. Aaron says, I say, fuck it. We could send in the gay trans reservists and they could take Canada in a weekend. Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of a harsh look at it. But yeah, that is certainly something that we could do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
All right. USAID is not about aid. It's a deep state foreign interference agency. Well, ain't that the truth?
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
All right.
So what is USAID? When people hear the name USAID, they focus on aid. They focus on thinking like it's humanitarian work. But aid is not actually in the name of USAID. USAID stands for the United States Agency for International Development, not aid. It's not a charity. And international development is simply capacity building. It is local and regional capacity building done across the whole world, i.e. internationally. The primal id in USAID, international development, is about capacity building of assets that can be used by either the Pentagon, the State Department, or the CIA for their own activities. So if you're the Secretary of State and you were asked by the National Security Council or the President to do something in a different country, overthrow their government, stop the passage of a bill in a foreign country's legislature, how would you do that? And the first thing that I said is you would look at the assets that already exist in the country. Do we need new assets in addition to the ones that we currently have, or are the existing assets, can they achieve this simply by giving them enough money, giving them enough resources, giving them enough training, giving them enough support? One of the main ways that capacity building would be financed would be through USAID. USAID would say that it's doing something, funding a hospital system, funding universities, funding civil society organizations, funding media institutions, funding independent media in the region. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Independent media in the region on USAID payroll. And those institutions, those assets would then be bigger and more powerful and more capable more capable of serving the State Department's goal, aka advancing U.S. national interests. USAID has a bigger budget than the State Department, over $50 billion. It is a bigger budget than the CIA. The entire intelligence community only has about 72 billion. So that's the CIA plus the 16 others. And USAID has a bigger budget than the CIA and is almost the size of the entire intelligence community combined. That is how important USAID is to American statecraft. It is an intelligence community, a State Department, and a Pentagon assistance organization rolled into one. I just copied this from the USAID website. USAID carries out U.S. foreign policy, advances U.S. national interests by promoting broad-scale human progress. At the same time, it expands stable, free societies, creates markets and trade partners for the United States, and fosters goodwill abroad. The operative phrases here are carries out U.S. foreign policy. This is not charity work. This is not aid. This is cynical, self-serving purposes. And what is it seeking to do? Free societies, open societies. Why does USAID want other countries to be open societies? Because that's how you get the influence in. If a country is a closed society, they're closed off from USAID influence. We cannot capacity build our assets there. Closed societies box USAID out. China is a closed society. That is why we have not been able to topple the government of China, despite having tried for 100 years now almost. We have not been able to topple Putin from Russia. Why? Because Russia is a closed society. Like China, they kicked USAID out. It is not an open society. And so the USAID can't just take over their entire media ecosystem by funding 100 different media propaganda outlets in the region to sway hearts and minds. And remember, that's what this is. It's hearts and minds and cash. That's what soft power is. They call it hearts and minds work, but it's cash that does the moving of those hearts and minds, especially of the leaders of the movements.
Thoughts?
All right. So that was an excellent breakdown as to what USAID does, and it is not aid. And I think that that's something that needs to be very clear. And it is a wing, and it's not U.S. policy. It is specifically left-wing policy. It's like giving money to PBS and NPR. Yes, it's supposed to be something that it's not, but we understand that PBS and NPR are just propaganda arms of the far left. Not even like the normal left. I'm talking the far left wing, the very end of it. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny, watch out for the frogs.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny. Anyway, so USAID is a far left wing agenda. It is how they are trying to press the 15-minute city concept. It is why that mentality is exactly why Russia and China don't want U.S. aid or is closed off to the United States in so many ways. It's because it specifically makes us look like we are trying to push a far left-wing agenda that the rest of the world just doesn't give a shit about. Again, USAID is probably one of the main reasons why Osama bin Laden attacked the U.S. It is following that narrative, right? That is exactly what he was fighting against, was this: you will allow everything that we say, and everything we say is counter to what your very specific religious beliefs are, as opposed to saying, hey, here's your religious beliefs. That's fine. We believe everybody has a right to their own religion because that's, kind of freedom of religion thing. It's a concept. This is your religion. We disagree with the way it is executed in your nation, sometimes very literally executed. However, we believe that there are better options. And the only way we can say that there's better options if we are actually the example. So instead of cutting people's hands off, we are able to show, hey, look, we can rehabilitate people who steal so that way they don't steal ever again. And they get to keep their hand. Otherwise we get to straight up Hammurabi law, and it's not gonna be kind with us, and they may not care about doing foreign trade with us, and if that's what they want, that's fine, but we can't force ourselves on everybody. And that's what USAID is. And it's the United States forcing not only a uniquely American belief, probably more European, but whatever, forcing a very particular belief that only works with a very small subset of this nation. So why are we funding that? If it does not represent the entirety of the United States, then why on earth are you and I paying for something that we disagree with? And that's, well, why DOGE and, everybody's cutting all of their funds, because their funds actually are counter to U.S. foreign policy initiatives.
Exactly.
Actual U.S. foreign policy initiatives.
Actual?
And then to say that they have a bigger budget than the State Department and bigger budget than the CIA, or bigger than CIA, I guess is the proper way to say that. Well, that's interesting. Why are we giving this money to a whole bunch of people? We don't even know who the hell they are.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
President Trump says U.S. aid has been run by a bunch of radical lunatics.
Ready?
Yes.
What's going on there? Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
Thoughts?
Well, there you go. Straight from the president's mouth, and sounds like that's what it is. Notice he doesn't say U.S. aid. He is making the distinction that it is some kind of an acronym, and so he's separating them out distinctly, hoping, I'm sure, that people will understand that it's USAID. Well, you mean USAID? No, USAID. Go look up what USAID is. Another way for us to communicate to people who aren't quite picking up what's being put down. Sometimes we have to do the research for people, and that's where President Trump is pointing that out. That's all I got on
that. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a daily DOGE update. Let's listen.
The daily DOGE update. All right, here we go.
Hello, fellow citizens and taxpayers. Thanks for stopping to watch today's daily DOGE update. Now, by now, you've probably heard of DOGE, which is the Department of Government Efficiency, which was put into place by President Donald Trump and being headed up by the genius Elon Musk. And its mission is to cut $2 trillion, that's trillion with a T, mind you, in government waste before the economy collapses in under its own weight. Right now, we have over 1,200 programs running on autopilot, draining over $500 billion of tax money without any oversight whatsoever. So let's talk about some of the biggest offenders. Some of these haven't been reauthorized in years or even decades. We got the Foreign Relations Authorization Act of 2003 for $38 billion, the 21st Century Cures Act, $48 billion, the Quality Housing and Work Responsibility Act of 1998. Oh my God, how old is that thing? $37 billion. The NASA Transition Authorization Act of 2017 for $25 billion. I thought NASA went away with Elon Musk and all his rockets. We don't need that anymore. The Energy Policy Act of 2005 for $7 billion, and the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act of 2014, which is costing us $9 billion. Now, if we add all these programs up, it comes to a total of $164 billion. And if we combine that with the $175 billion we've sent to Ukraine since 2022, that ends up being a mind-blowing $339 billion of our money being flushed down the drain. And here's where it gets even worse. No one is even tracking where this money actually goes because it's never been reauthorized. The funding keeps going into these programs, but they've never been officially reauthorized by Congress, which means they're spending billions with zero congressional oversight. No one's checking to see if they're effective. The government just keeps blindly writing checks and they have no idea where the money's going. That means your tax dollars could be going to fund foreign governments, corporate subsidies, money laundering, pointless studies with no accountability, and you wouldn't even know it because nobody knows where that money goes. So if we ran a business like that, they would shut us down for fraud. They would bury us under the jail, and that would be game over for us. But the U.S. government just keeps writing checks to these programs blindly, not having any idea where the money goes. And until we put a stop to it, they're going to continue to put us in debt. Now, DOGE has been enacted to take care of this, but the real question is, will Congress allow them to act?
Yeah, there you go. Whole bunch of free money. Like Oprah was handing money out to, well, all of her friends, and is pretty much what it kind of seems like there. Maybe not Oprah specifically, but the government handing money out, no stipulations as to where it should go, what we should do with it, why, why is this money going there? We can't even ask that because it's just money, and the government hasn't even considered doing oversight. So yeah, maybe we should stop giving away free money, and people will stop using our free money, our tax dollars, our money, our time resources that are wasted on these people without any say whatsoever. It's almost like taxation without representation or something crazy like that.
Well,
hey, how you doing?
Hey, Don.
Let's see. Don says, whew, I'm home. I've been running from here to yonder and back again, twice. Well, get a car.
We're glad you're here.
America, go drive everywhere.
Right?
Just an idea.
You ready?
Or a horse. Get a cowgirl hat. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. You ready?
That way you can be green. Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Horse poop is green. No, shaking your head no. All right. Trump releases video of attack on ISIS terrorists.
Ready?
Mm-hmm. Here we go. It's okay. There we go. Boom. Oh. It has no sound.
No.
All right. So here's sound effect. So
Thoughts?
it's there was a big explosion.
Yeah, but he told them straight up. It's still going.
Yeah.
He told them straight up, we will find you and kill you.
Yeah, I get it. And that's kind of what that is. So that obviously wasn't a release for us. It was unclassified, something like that. They're talking about obviously some kind of a current operation.
Mm-hmm.
When was that as of?
That was the first.
Okay.
They did that.
So that was on the first. They released that. So current information, but no real information surrounding it other than the fact that it was targeting ISIS. Let's see. Well, the war continues. It's just it looks like we're playing to win this time, as opposed to playing to have it go on in perpetuity. I think that the difference that we're going to see is that ISIS is going to have a change of heart in terms of the way they do things. Maybe they'll recognize that maybe there's better ways to do stuff. I know that President Trump isn't going to relent. We understand.
No, he's not.
No. And we understand that President Trump knows who the traitors are within the government, or were, if they're still not with us anymore, like John McCain, based off of everything that we understand about him meeting directly with ISIS.
Right.
So it's like he's letting them know there's a new sheriff in town, and things ain't going to work out quite the way they wanted it to.
It's not going to be the way they think it's going to be.
No, not at all.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
How about some Kelly?
All right. Kelly's
We
awesome.
we always need Kelly on Monday.
Yeah, we could use some Kelly.
So here's a thought for you. The Bible likes to compare God's power, greatness, mercy, goodness to the ocean or waves, but it also compares our struggles to the ocean, the wind, and the waves. Interesting. You see, I saw a post on Facebook yesterday of someone saying they were mad at God. They'd been praying every day, believing that God was going to show up in their situation. And when the time came for God to show up, he didn't. And the truth of the matter is, I know there are many of you who feel the exact same way. I was believing. I was praying. I did everything the Bible told me to do, but it didn't happen. Feels like God didn't show up. But can I challenge your thinking for a minute? If you trust God only when he does what you want, that's not really trust at all, is it? You see, the truth is God only asks one thing of you, to trust him. But it seems like that's the most difficult thing in the world for us. I mean, not when life is good. Father, thank you for blessing me. Thank you for the promotion. Thank you for restoring my relationship. Thank you for the bonus at work. God, I trust you. Yeah, it's pretty easy to trust when things are going your way. When your castle is being built the way you want it to, it's easy to trust. However, that's not always the way life goes, is it? You see, we can't just say, God, I trust you, and everything's working out the way we want. Where you really show your faith, where you really prove that you trust him, it's not when the sun's shining, it's when you're in the middle of the storm. You see, there's a big difference in thanks for the promotion, I trust you, versus God, I didn't get the promotion. We don't have enough money in the bank account to even eat this week. I can't afford the gas to drive to work. But Father, I trust you. I trust that no matter what it looks like, no matter what I'm going through, I trust that if I was praying for this promotion and I didn't get it, that means you have something so much better for me. That means you saw the end from the beginning and you knew the thing I wanted wasn't the thing I really wanted. I trust you. It's a big difference, isn't there? You see, today when we came down to the ocean, they told us we could swim that way, but do not swim that way because the current is too strong. And if we start swimming that way, we won't be able to make it back. But that's life for so many of us, isn't it? God is like this ocean, and what he has planned and where he's going, there ain't no stopping it. We just have to trust him. But as it stands, so many people, so many believers are out there swimming, fighting for their life against the current while screaming at the top of their lungs, God, I trust you. But everything in their actions proves otherwise. We love to quote Romans 8:28. God works all things for good. Well, hold on, son. That's not the end of the verse. See, Romans 8:28 goes on to say, God works all things for good for those who are called according to his will, his plan, for those who love him. See, the truth is God just doesn't work all things for good for all people all the time. That would be insane. But what he does do, however, is for those who trust him, those who just let go and follow his current, letting him take them wherever he wants them to go. That's when he works all things for good, because you're called according to his plan, not yours. You're building his kingdom, not your castle. Is this making sense? So let me encourage you today. Maybe you've been believing for something. You were trusting God, but it didn't work out. Can I remind you today, God didn't fail you. He's never failed anyone. He's definitely not going to start with you today. Trust his plan, because his ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts. So if you were asking him for something and it didn't happen, don't get discouraged. That's a really good thing. You see, God will never remove something from you without giving you something so much better in return. I know you were believing for it and it feels like God failed you, but oh son, he didn't. He just has something so much better for you. You wouldn't even believe it if he told you. So I say, trust him and think about that for a minute.
Thoughts?
All right. So again, trust his plan. We don't know what his plan. We can pay attention to the signs and symbols that are provided to us, but even then, that's open to interpretation. But in the end, we'll actually know what his will is based off of how things turned out. We can try to pay attention, and like he was saying, you got to flow with the current. You can't hold the ocean back. You have to let the ocean do its thing and just go along for the ride. And that can be challenging at times because there are things that we would like in our life. And if they don't happen that way, we can certainly say, why don't you do anything that I want you to do, Lord? But it's maybe because there's more things that we have to learn. It's always incumbent and it's always important for us to make sure that we're paying attention to what is actually good. Are the things that we are doing, are they for the glory of God? Are they to create a life that is in alignment with the principles and concepts presented forth in the Bible? I would say that if it's not, aligned with the principles that are in the Bible, then more than likely, whatever endeavor it is that we've come up with, us as the king or queen or whatever it is of our little petty kingdom or queendom, then it's not going to pan out because we're only thinking about ourselves. So we have to recognize if it's good, what is it doing for somebody other than ourselves? And I think that if that's what our heart is aligned with in terms of whatever endeavor we choose to do, that's going to make us see what we would call success. But either way, it is success for God because either we're learning or we're, growing kind of thing.
That's the thing is if we sat there and tried to figure out his ways, we're never going to get there because he's already mapped it out for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's when we fight to go with the flow that things go bad.
Right.
And can go real bad.
I mean, just think about it, trying to kayak upriver on a, raging torrent. Yeah, you can do it, but it's going to suck. Yeah. Your arms are going to be tired and you're not going to get very far. Yeah. It's easier to go on an escalator, in the direction the escalator's going. Instead of trying to go down the up, why don't you go up the up? Shoot, you take advantage of that momentum, move even faster. It's about recognizing what's going on around you. So that way you can kind of slide into the flow of life.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
It would be. It's easier said than done. I get it. Yeah, I hear you.
Yes. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let's look at the new White House press secretary.
All right.
Obviously a skit, but it's amazing.
Yes.
Right, let's get to it. First question, Bob, you in the front. Hit me. What you got?
Karoline, any comment on President Trump's insults yesterday?
About the last administration?
Yes.
Couldn't agree more.
Seriously?
Oh, what? I'm sorry, Gary. Did the last 4 years not suck enough for you? Is that it?
Well, Karoline,
No. Shut the fuck up. Why do you think a dozen eggs are $13 right now?
Well,
Why do you think
Karoline,
that?
calm down.
I am calm. We'd also like to add
Jesus.
that, hold on. Peter,
What?
Don't start this shit with me again.
What did I do?
Right?
I don't
No. Hold on. I'm the youngest White House press secretary ever. You want to know why? Because I don't give a fuck.
Please don't hurt me.
Jesus, dude. No wonder your wife won't sleep with you. What I was saying is that we're adding 2 new seats for TikTok reporters and independent journalists because apparently America is sick and tired of y'all's bullshit. What, Mark? What? Everyone's thinking it. I'll say it. Who the fuck is watching CNN? Peter, you keep glaring at me like that. The president's next executive order will be deporting your kids. You got that?
Yeah, I got it.
Fuck around and find out. Last question, back row. Sorry about these little bitches in the front. Go ahead.
This is more of a personal question, Karoline, but how are you doing?
Ashley, that is very sweet of you. Honestly, I'm doing pretty good.
Great.
Except for the chronic ear pain that I have.
Ear pain?
Yeah. Listening to all of Peter's dumbass questions. All right, that's all the time I got for you fucks. I'm out.
Thoughts?
I mean, there's that kind of energy going on right now. But that's exactly the kind of energy the press has deserved. Not exactly getting it in those words, but that cold callous is the way it is. You're just going to have to deal with it because we've got to where we're at now because we were too busy trying to play along nicely with people who were never trying to play along.
Right.
Let alone play along nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they fucked around and they're finding out now.
They are.
enjoy the fruits of your labor.
She's awesome. By the
Yeah,
way.
she is awesome.
Rantum says she was easier on the eyes.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. Anyways,
You ready?
moving on.
This is funny. This is why Gen X is so twisted and doesn't give a, you know what?
Flying F.
Yeah.
All
Let's listen.
All right.
And now, the rest of the story. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Well, now that rhyme is not nearly so nonsensical as you think. But that, well, that is the rest of the story. Elizabeth Foster was born in 1665 in England, and she didn't dare repeat that verse out loud until she got to this side of the Atlantic, because her verse was poking some pretty pointed fun at Queen Elizabeth and her court. You see, in those days, every queen was called a cat. Elizabeth did play the fiddle. The little dog was her lover, the Earl of Leicester. And the spoon referred to Lady Catherine Grey, a lady in waiting who tasted every dish before it was served to Her Majesty. The dish, well, that was the Earl of Hertford, custodian of the Queen's tableware. And it was he who eloped with Lady Catherine. And you thought this was kid stuff? Elizabeth Foster came to the United States with her little poem, married a widower in Boston named Isaac Goose, who had 10 children. Elizabeth became Mother Goose, that's right, to 10 children. And for the amusement of her 10 stepchildren, Mrs. Goose recited other little verses, which she had brought from England or written en route. The one about Mary, Mary, quite contrary, that referred to Mary, Queen of Scots. King George was Georgie Porgy, who kissed the girls and made them cry. Edward VI, who seized farms for sheep pastures, was lampooned in her verse, Ba, Ba, Black Sheep. Eventually, the second Mrs. Goose had another 10 children. Now there were 20. Her little verses became necessary bedtime ditties with which to put her enormous brood to sleep, and it was about this time that she wrote of the old woman who lived in a shoe, who had so many children she didn't know what to do. And yet the rhymes, which are now so familiar, might never have been heard outside the nursery, except that one day, while Mrs. Goose was still cooing verses to the most recent offspring, some of the earlier ones were ripening for marriage, and there appeared upon the scene one Thomas Fleet from Shropshire, England, and he wooed and won one of the Goose daughters. But he, a staunch Tory, did not like the way Mrs. Goose poked fun at the crown, and eventually his antagonism mounted to a fury, and he sought in callous ire to brand her publicly. Now, Fleet was a printer. So in 1719, he copied down those verses and he published them in a pamphlet referring to the author as Old Mother Goose. In this way, he sought to alienate all of the Back Bay from his stepmother-in-law. This young Fleet was certain would silence her impertinence forever. But to Fleet's dismay, the pamphlet was praised. Everybody wanted a copy. Instead of demanding the author's scalp, they demanded a second printing. And Mother Goose will have an audience for as long as there are children. Though it was certainly not for children that she wrote needles and pins, when a man marries, his troubles begin. That reference was to Henry VIII and his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, who introduced pins from France before she lost her head. Soon husbands had to provide their wives with special allowances for this luxury, and that's when the phrase pin money was injected into our language. Oh, yes, these lines, each concealing some sharp barb, these verses designed to unstuff the pompous politicians and expose the royal scandals, became nursery rhymes. They became nursery rhymes because a printer named Thomas Fleet deliberately tried to discredit his stepmother-in-law and immortalized her instead. And now you know the rest of the story.
Thoughts?
Isn't that interesting? They use it to take down the truth, and yet the truth somehow resonated with people more than the narrative that was desired to be pressed. As everything changes, it all stays the same.
It does.
It's very interesting. And so these nursery rhymes, they always have some kind of nugget of truth in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's interesting that so many of them are still so true today, just played out in different ways.
Mm-hmm. I thought you would like that one a lot.
That is good. That's great.
So I have Ant, and all day he's been looking for Made in Canada. Ready?
Yes.
Or Chicago, okay. Oh, but this is local from Florida. South Carolina. I'm just trying to find stuff. Okay. No. Pickled in the U.S. Made in the USA. Okay. Maybe it's stools, bar stools. Vietnam. Italy.
Thoughts?
This is kind of the point is other nations around the world and so many places here within the United States, we have the capability to produce this stuff, to include our maple syrup. It doesn't have to come from north of the border. As a matter of fact, we have great maple right here in the U.S. And there's so many different varieties. It all just depends. You can get local honey or not honey, but maple syrup from so many places. It doesn't have to just be Vermont. It can be other places. But that's kind of the point is we don't necessarily need Canada. Who that is going to hurt are going to be the big manufacturers who import stuff from north of the border. And those companies with their very moneyed interests in bringing outside sources in are going to be the ones who hurt. It's going to be the megacorps, I'm going to assume, like BlackRock and Vanguard, et cetera, et cetera.
Which we don't care about.
Yeah, and I could care less about them. They're buying up houses with our tax dollars and making us rent houses from them, therefore driving up the price of everything, making it unaffordable for everybody else, and starting fires in places like, I don't know, possibly LA, or maybe even Maui. Who knows? The sky's the limit in terms of the corruption that they're willing to perpetrate against us with our own taxpayer dollars. So if those companies happen to lose money, I'm not going to shed a single tear or lose a wink of sleep, because I didn't want to give those people my money to begin with. And if everything that they do goes up in price so much, well, I guess that sucks to be you. We can't afford those specific products, but there are replacements from around the entire world with countries that want to play along and care about America being Americans and those countries being uniquely themselves without some undue influence being exerted from either the United States or the country that we're importing those goods from.
There you go.
Wendy says, I could listen to Ant all day. I love him. Yeah, Ant is awesome. It's been a long time since we had him on here, but yeah, he's a great guy, and I'm glad to see he's doing really good.
Jenny says New York has great maple syrup.
Had or has?
Has.
Okay.
She fixed it now.
Okay. There it is. Has. And I would assume so. I'd like to try some.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's olive oils sent from around the world, different olive oil, orchards, I guess, olive orchards. And so each one has its own unique taste or character, just like wine. Every specific vineyard has its own unique wine. It would be nice to try different kinds of maple. And it was said, this is New York maple. This is Vermont maple. It's one of the things where it would create a healthy competition from within the United States. And we could say, this is the best. And therefore, that specific, I guess, maple orchard would have some bragging rights and be able to charge a little bit more, which would be great because they're doing something to make their brand taste better than everybody else. Chachi says they're going to stop allowing Trailer Park Boys being broadcast in the U.S. I don't know what Trailer Park Boys is.
We don't watch TV.
I don't know what that. Well, we say that, but yet we have key ones, but they're all in the holding pattern right now. Aaron says we really shouldn't be eating a lot of sugary tree syrup anyway. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how to live my life. I love my maple syrup. I love my sugars. Don says, I love tree syrup. Tree syrup is amazing. It really is.
Thank you, Angie.
Everything in moderation. But
Don't forget to hit that thumbs
I
up,
appreciate
guys.
it, Aaron. Yeah, make sure y'all are hitting that thumbs up. Thank you, Angie.
You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
All right. Dan Bongino says tariffs plus eliminating income taxes would blow up the economy.
You ready?
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Let's listen.
Let's do it.
If Donald Trump can convince the Republican Congress to get rid of the income tax for a system of tariffs instead, ladies and gentlemen, the economy will absolutely explode like you have not seen since the Reagan years, maybe bigger. The explosion of capital and investment in the United States and the basically $30,000 or so raise a lot of people are going to get will absolutely blow our economy up like you've never seen before.
Thoughts?
Hold on. Make sure I understand this concept. If you stop stealing people's money, that it will make the economy work better. And stealing people's money to use that money against the people that you stole the money from in the beginning. That people could spend the money better for. You mean they could like afford a house or their payments? They could keep the electricity on without having to worry because they're not giving away 10, 20, 30% of their check?
Well, there is that.
And you mean that if the businesses didn't have to give so much of their money to the government and that they were able to hire more people and pay higher wages for higher quality work, that the economy would boom? Wow. Maybe somebody.
Fascinating, isn't it?
That is fascinating. Maybe we should teach that in like school or some shit.
Gee, I wonder why I have so many people who want me to do their taxes this year because I know every legal tax loophole there is because I read tax code.
Well, I mean, I doubt every single one of them, but I get what you're saying. But what would that do for the tax industry? What would that do for all those people? People would actually have to understand principles of good business, and that's another thing altogether. But that's what accountants always were. Hey, I can read the tea leaves of what your business is telling me through the finances. Yeah, we might need like real accountants in the future. Wow, what an amazing concept. Instead of worrying about how they can keep from paying as much money to the government as possible, they can figure out how to make, I don't know, like the automotive industry great again. You remember when cars, had like style and they didn't look like every other car on the planet? Every four-door sedan looks exactly like every other four-door sedan based off of its small, medium or large, class. Same thing with SUVs, crossovers, etc., etc. They all look exactly the same, like they're sharing the same frame or something, and then they just put some, I don't know, furniture that looks a little bit different. I mean, like it's not just within one brand, like Chevy looks like GMC, which looks like Cadillac. It's like Chevy looks like Lexus, which looks like, I don't know, Tata Motors or Fiat or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, yeah. If the money was able to be put into the quality of the product, that would also make our products much more, I don't know, competitive in the global economy. Ah, what an amazing concept.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
How about some Craig?
Okay, Craig's great.
Let's listen.
It's so crazy to me, though, how often even Christians undervalue and discount the power of prayer. You see it all the time. People will be in a situation and we might be talking and someone will say, well, oh my gosh, all we can do now is pray. All we can do now is pray. I can almost imagine God like going, and you think that's nothing? The God who can move mountains, the God who can raise the dead, the God who can heal the sick and open blind eyes, and all you can do. No, prayer is powerful. And as followers of Jesus, we have to recognize that prayer is never our last line of defense. It's always our first line of offense. The author to the Hebrews said, let us come boldly before the throne of grace. We can come in prayer boldly with confidence. Why? To find help in time of our need. James said this. He said, you do not have. Why? Because you do not ask, because you haven't prayed. Prayer is always powerful.
Thoughts?
Prayer is always powerful. And a lot of the times, our life is kind of funneled in a direction which forces us into a spot where all we can do is rely on God. And once we're able to give everything up and say, okay, it's obviously in your hands, there's nothing I can do about it, is an excellent place to be, because it means that you have recognized that you are incapable of anything without God's support or approval. And it means that you can kind of just go with the flow. Again, just another way to give it up to God and say, okay, all I can do is pray. Well, good. I'm glad you see it that way, because that's what he's been getting at, the whole time, would be my guess. I know that's where I had to get to in my life. And I think that that's kind of the point, was when we're able to just give it up and say, all right, God, that there's nothing I can do. I have this situation. I've tried everything I can and it's not working. What are you telling me? Right. Well,
maybe I should listen a little closer.
There you go. And that's what it is. And so we can't take it personally, because we know that he has better plans for us than we even know how to ask or imagine. So therefore, why not try? And I think that that's what I got to at a point in my life is to recognize, you know what? I've tried it my way and every other way. I read the Bible and I see what it's saying. It's saying, have you put your trust and faith in the Lord, and do not fear, do not worry. And that are you not worth more than a sparrow? It's where we have to get. And I will say that once I let go and tried to go along with what I was seeing happening in my life at that very moment, that's when I recognized, okay, he's got a plan and there's really nothing I can do about it. And it's like that phrase that we've talked about so many times. God is still writing your story. Stop trying to steal the pen. Trust the author. And once you have that humble moment where you recognize you're not even the author of your own life, it opens it up for magical and beautiful things to happen. Just as much as it can be scary, we understand that he wants us to prosper. It says as much. So let's have that faith. Exactly, Jenny. 365 times. Do not fear.
Exactly.
It's there for a reason.
Yes. And he's a great author. So
he is a great author.
We can trust him.
We can trust him. Give it a chance. If you haven't, give it a chance. And it's not, like one day, okay, I tried. You gotta put some effort into it. And it will get more challenging, but it always gets more challenging whenever we decide to go along with his plans as opposed to ours.
Okie dokie.
Yes. All right.
You ready?
Yes, ready.
Can you read that, please?
Let's see. Tom Homan achieved success on the border, but still has much to do.
Let's listen.
Let's do it.
Can you assess your work so far?
Well, look, I looked at the numbers this morning, Maria. The crossings on the border are down 93%. 93%.
Wow.
That's a bigger decrease than under the first Trump administration. So look, I said it, President Trump is a game changer. No one has had the success he's had on securing the border. He clearly understands we can't have strong national security if we don't have border security. We need to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where it's coming in, why it's coming in. And we have achieved a success on the border already. We got more work to do. And on top of that, as far as the deportation operation, we're just shy of, I think we got 5,000 already arrested the first week, and majority of them being criminals. The non-criminals, and the media's talking about, who are these non-criminals? The non-criminals are arrested in sanctuary cities because you force us into the community rather than arresting the bad guy in the jail. And when we find that criminal, he's most likely with others, and they're going to go too. So if you want to be a sanctuary city, you're going to get exactly what you don't want. More agents in the community and more non-criminals arrested.
Thoughts?
So what I heard Tom Homan saying was, if you aren't hiding these people out who came here illegally, that you won't have this presence that you don't want around you. What an amazing concept. If you're not harboring criminals, you won't have a police state around you.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Who would have thought? That's how that works. See, that's the thing about the conservative, traditional American values versus these new values that brought along new math and all this other crap that doesn't work is if you keep it simple and you make sure that it's black and white, like laws should be black and white, very clear, no wiggle room around it. This is what it says. This is what it means. And we do it this way. And then everybody can go live their life, according to how they see fit. I think that makes it better for everybody else. That is a very unique American concept, and we should be able to live that way. It's nice to see this, and it seems like it's a fall of the empire, but a rebirth of the American Republic, which is best for everybody who considers themselves an American and people, citizens of their own nations around the world, because a healthy America makes for a healthy rest of the world.
Yeah, because the ones that he's talking about are the ones that have caused so much death and destruction
And crime, and they build
It's-
their
it's
criminal
bad.
networks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they build their criminal networks, and it's counter to anything that is of good
Yeah.
moral American values.
There you
I
have
mean, not that we're the most moral people on the planet, but it's our attempt to create a place with which where people can be and can work with each other despite their differences in religion or pretty much anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Yes, 100% spot on. Dude, Lambasts the idiocy of illegals protesting ICE deportations.
Let's listen.
It's pretty dumb.
Imagine if I went to Africa and I wanted to live there, right? And all of a sudden, Africa wanted to deport me back to my homeland, the United States of America. And imagine if I went and I protested against Africa and I was lifting a United States of America flag in protest, saying I wanted to stay in Africa, but waving this flag from another country. How crazy would that look? How crazy would that be? That's exactly what's happening with people that are protesting right now in the United States. They're lifting up flags from different countries in protest of being deported back to those countries. Think about that. How wild is that? If you love that country so much, why don't you go back over there? But let's be really honest. Instead of you sitting there lifting up that flag from another country, why don't you lift up the flag from the United States of America and say, hey, I want to stay here. I love this country. I appreciate this country. It's a blessing to live here. I don't want to go back to any other country. And you wonder why patriots and United States citizens like myself are fed up seeing this stuff, because you're ungrateful. You don't appreciate the blessing it is to live in the United States of America. If you did, you wouldn't lift a flag of a foreign country that didn't do nothing for you.
Thoughts?
All right. So, hey, new friend, Paul Walker. Appreciate the name. I think that's really the fine point as to what really upsets so many people. It's a lack of gratitude. You're going to come here. You're going to ask for our money. You're going to tell us how great wherever you came from was. And then you want it to be like that. Well, then why the hell aren't you over there?
Go back.
Go back. And this is like common sense. This is something that's been understood. If you don't like it, then pack your shit and leave. Don't come to my house and tell me I got to do shit differently my way. Now, did we as a nation 100 or plus years ago do things kind of that jackass way? Yeah, but we were a young nation and we had a lot to learn. But we've learned so many things, and we recognize that we need to have a lighter step as we move around. And that is a very uniquely American concept and biblical, I might add, because we are immigrants in the land that we live. And so therefore, we must be kind and courteous to the immigrants, provided that the immigrants choose to live in peace and harmony with us. But if they're trying to come over here and piss in our Wheaties about how great it is somewhere else, then why are you here? You know, I'm not trying to tell you that you need to change. And if your life is better while you're here, then by all means, come through the front door and figure out exactly why it works better here than anywhere else. It's about us changing ourselves as opposed to trying to make the world conform to our own individual ideas and concepts. It doesn't work as a group of individuals. We must come together as a group of people who hold our banner up for something greater than ourselves. And the rule of law is exactly what makes the American experiment better than anything else, because we say that the laws, which are based in biblical concepts, is the law of the land, and that's how we work together. Appreciate that, Paul. I think that so many Americans are all on the same sheet of music. It's just a matter of us being...
It's the mainstream media lying.
Yeah, and people getting wrapped up in their bread and circuses that the governments throughout time immemorial, have been, utilizing against the people, because really there are always going to be corrupt individuals who seek power to make everybody act as their ego says that everybody should act. It's just not the way it works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Welcome, Paul.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Byron Donalds tells CNN why border security will save more money than a trade war will cost.
Let's listen.
On CNN.
Well, I will tell you that the cost of the American people for rampant illegal immigration and for the illicit drug trade that has started with precursor materials in China to fentanyl being put together south of our border in Mexico and then trafficked into the United States, those costs have been significantly more damaging to the American people than this proposed possible trade war. At the end of the day, what President Trump is doing is that he wants China and Mexico and Canada to take our national security interests just as seriously as they take theirs. And when it comes to fentanyl, let's be very clear. The precursor material is from China. The tablets are assembled in Mexico. They come into the United States, and they are the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. So Donald Trump told everybody on the campaign trail he's going to use every tool available to secure this nation, and this is a part of it.
Thoughts?
These are the tools. There's nothing new and exciting about the tools that are in the tool chest that President Trump is using. It's something...
He just has a brain.
He just knows how to use them and use them properly for something greater than his own enrichment, like so many of our supposedly elected officials have been. They're really good at using the coffers to enrich themselves. Yeah. And I believe, okay, so how long has it been since President Trump? I mean, he's been hinting about tariffs, and that's what he was going to do. But and he hasn't been president for very long, but he didn't start talking about tariffs until just recently. What, 2 weeks at most? Yeah. And then he's already put them in place, and they have already caved because they recognize that they need the U.S. more than they want us to believe that they need them. It's bullshit, too, I might add, that the leaders of a foreign nation would threaten the people of the United States and say, your life is going to suck based off of what your leader is going to do. And as these foreign leaders are found out to be a bunch of frauds, that they won't be able to, like, the American people are eventually going to stop listening. And not the entirety of the American people, but the American people who choose to continue listen to the legacy media. After, spanking after spanking after spanking, kids eventually figure out, hey, it kind of hurts when we do that. And it makes a lot more sense if I just listen to what's going on before I stop trying to protest, or before I start trying to protest absolutely everything. So the short time frames are going to help people recognize that President Trump is creating a more of a benefit for the American people. I, again, still look forward to the moment when I can say, President Trump, we're winning too much. I know we'll get there. Hey, Mike. Thanks for joining, Mike.
You ready?
Yep.
Can you read that, please?
With Cartels being militarized, President Trump sends real strength to the border.
Let's listen.
All right, so that's a great video clip, shows that something is happening at the border. So what is that something that we see? Well, that certainly looked like the Marine Corps with the Ospreys, in which case it looks like they might have really kind of a Mew out there at the southern border.
It's your peeps.
It's my peeps. So there's a lot of things people don't understand about the military. And I know that there's people out there that are rooting for the cartels, which is really sad because I've seen a couple of those videos where they're hoping for America's demise because they decide that they want to root for Mexico or whatever. Again, why? Why is it that you want to come here and make us like someplace that your family or you chose to leave because it sucks so bad somewhere else? We want to make your place work out well, but we have to clean our own house and show everybody how it can be done. So that way other countries around the world will find a reason as to why they should change the way they do things. We have to set the example. Unlike what we've done in the past, where we go over to Iraq and Afghanistan and say that we're going to free the shit out of you, what we should be doing is saying we're going to free ourselves from this madness that we've all been subjected to for who knows how long. See Jekyll Island. We need to free ourselves from that madness so that way you can see what freedom really looks like. And if you say that we like what you have going on over there, but we want our country to be like yours so that way we can be uniquely Mexican, then we should be happy to provide that support. And I know that we're going to get to that point at some point, but we have to be that shining city on a hill before anybody else says, I like that.
Yes.
I want that here. People need to have pride from where they're from. I think Mexico is a great place, and I think Mexico has a lot of tremendous value to add to the world. The Republic of Mexico, not the Empire of Mexico, like we've had the Empire of the United States. I think we need to have a lot of changes. Paul says Mexico and Canada folded to the tariffs.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, they did.
That at the beginning. I just didn't have time to put it in
the description. Yeah,
they'd already started setting the show up.
It only took a couple of days before they folded like a cheap suit.
Yeah.
And they've provided troops of their own at both our southern and our northern border. And then they won't have the tariffs. So obviously, not only are we getting to the business of securing our borders and stopping the fentanyl problem that we have, we're also having these other countries work with us as well. And once the military is fully in place, in which case I'm sure they are, because I know how the military works, when they go into an area, they're going to secure it. And the Marines definitely know how to secure an area based off of my understanding. So I'm going to say that our border will be secured, which means that there will be nothing new and exciting going across the border one way or another, especially since both sides are watching. Then it's a matter of cleaning house, which Tom Homan, the border czar, is already doing with all of the people that they're arresting, in which case we just showed that clip a minute ago.
Yeah.
Aaron says the difference between the cartels and the FDA, DEA, Big Pharma is Big Pharma doesn't act gangsta in public. Well, you say that. Yeah, it is nice to have a real president. Yeah, you say that, but remember the DEA and all of our government organizations are just another style of gang. It's just supposed to be the gang for all of us to make sure that, again, the rule of law is what rules this land based off of the confines of the Constitution and most certainly the confinement provided by our Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
It's actually a check on the government. They seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling President Trump and company are going to remind people what it's supposed to be all about.
Yes, I believe you're right. And I'm still not tired of winning.
Not tired of winning yet, but I know President Trump is getting us there.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
I don't like people who treat people bad because they don't know them and they don't need them. But then all of a sudden when they get hot, hey, God put you on my heart. No, he didn't. Instagram did. You saw me doing well and you wanted to act like you was checking on me. The more unwanted you are, the more necessary you will be. When the prophet came to Jesse's house looking for a king, Samuel, the Bible says that he was interviewing all of Jesse's sons except for the one that was out in the field tending sheep, and the one he didn't want was the one he needed. Because the more unwanted you are, the more necessary you will be.
Thoughts?
All right. So how many of you have seen that in your own life where as you got turned into the black sheep because you were recognizing that things just weren't like what they were being shown to be? And we tried to talk to people about all these things and we all became the black sheep in our own right. But with that, so many of us turned to whatever we did to try to make it feel like we were okay, be it drinking or whatever, earthly thing that we chose to hold on to. And we kind of lost our way because we already felt like we were a lost sheep. That's why we wandered off. And then we come back and we've changed and we come to God. Now it's a chance for us to recognize that we have had to go through all of this personal self-development, and that self-development came with growing a relationship with our Creator. And now we are the ones that need to show that love to the world around us, because the world is in desperate need of love, and people need to recognize what they should truly be loving as opposed to all of the things of this world, because things that truly help us feel that fulfillment are the things that are from above, and that is the gifts of family. That is that love that we all need. It's just we got lost along the way because we all decided that it was a game of politics, and that became more important than the true connections that we were supposed to be building.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Here we are.
So we have a lot of work to do,
Hmm?
but it's going to happen.
It is going to happen. Are you ready?
Yes.
Can you hear read that?
Can I hear
please?
it?
Can you read it, please?
Anti-deportation criminals continue blocking LA highways, overwhelming the police.
Let's listen.
Pray for our police.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. You don't have to throw shit. We're already here. We're already here. You're already making your statement. That's what we want. Don't be throwing shit. Don't be throwing.
Go ahead. As we get to Union Station, we're going to need a lot more resources if you want to keep pushing north.
Okay.
Thoughts?
First, Hope says, what about illegals that came and married an American? Okay, so that's an interesting thing. And it's an interesting question. Did they come here illegally? Are they marrying American citizens? Are they going through the process at that point in time? It depends. Where are they at in the process? These are very important questions that so many of us probably aren't going to have much of a say on, and it's going to be really up to us to just kind of sit back and watch. I know what feels right, and that is as long as people are trying to come through the system, i.e. they have applied and they're going through the honest here, ridiculous process that's been contorted and twisted to make it easier sometimes to come here illegally, especially when they're giving away free phones and all this other crap to the people who came here illegally. There's going to be a balance, and I know that balance is going to be important moving forward. I know that as long as somebody is trying to jump into the melting pot so that way they can become an American, I would love nothing more than for those people to be a part of the American experiment. But if they want to come here and bitch and complain because they didn't get their way, like we just saw in that video in Los Angeles, waving a foreign nation's flag, sounds like you're a ununiformed combatant. Doesn't work well for you in the Geneva Conventions. Hope y'all figure it out before, God forbid, it ever gets to that point. But that is not something that I can support. So where is your heart and where does your loyalty lie? Does your loyalty lie to the land and the laws that are here in this nation? I can support you. If your loyalty lies with some other nation and you want to take over because sometime in the 1800s you lost a war or you sold off parts and pieces of it, like the Gadsden Purchase, then you're reneging on a deal. Does America have the best history with going back on deals with the Native Americans? No, but we learned lessons. And all we can do is try to make it right moving forward with the people who were here before it was even called America. Paul says that fuck Trump signs should help their cause.
Right.
Yeah. I'm hearing the sarcasm dripping off of that comment, and I'm going to say it's not endearing anybody to their cause. If they don't like it, they can see the door. Randoon says, I did not know you were HVAC plumbing dude. I did that also for about 18 years. Really? That's interesting. Yeah, going through the trade schools.
Doing electrical right now.
Doing electrical right now, trying to get a deep understanding of how the whole thing works, so that way I can make magic happen. Chachi says, probably the bad illegals got trapped with all the free shit, kind of like the PPP loans. They got caught up in it like a sting. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The PPP could have been used for legitimate businesses doing it for legitimate business purposes. Just because somebody got the PPP loan doesn't necessarily mean that they were doing it bad. Just means that they used something properly that so many other people were abusing. It's about people abusing the good nature of Americans and the fact that we want everybody to be able to succeed. But you also have to succeed with a little bit of help, help, a hand up, not a handout. So many people got used to the handouts, and that's where they're getting it a little twisted in their head.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
And Aaron, he's already finished plumbing. He's already finished HVAC. He's got 6 weeks left of electrical. So he's
halfway done with electrical now.
Bit of an overachiever, my husband is.
Just trying to learn. I am forever a student in this schoolhouse that we live in.
There you go. You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Sean Duffy torches fake Jake Tapper over silly DIE question about the FAA.
Let's listen.
So you just alluded to DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion processes of trying to expand people in the workforce. Is there any specific evidence that backs up Donald Trump's claims, President Trump's claims, that DEI or FAA hiring practices are responsible in any way for this tragedy at Reagan National?
So, Jake, I think the better question is, am I going to guarantee the American people that only the best and the brightest serve in this incredibly important body of the Department of Transportation, that they're driven by safety and DEI doesn't matter? So I do know that in the last administration, they were focused on not safety, but they were focused on changing the name from cockpit to flight deck. Or notice to airmen, they want to change it to notice to air mission. They focused on EVs and sustainability and racist roads, things that don't matter in regard to safety. Our mission since the start has been safety, and they've lost that mission. And we see when you don't focus on safety and you focus on social justice or the environment, bad things happen. And so listen, it's been busy. We're going to have a fuller assessment of what happens in regard to DEI in FAA and DOT. And we'll report that out. But I will tell you this, DOT is a big department. The only DEI office that exists in the whole department was at the FAA. Now that existed up to a week ago. That's now gone.
Thoughts?
All right. So the DEI concept, I think we're the real I think it creates a bottleneck. And it slows down the ability to get people in places that desperately need people, because what DIE policies do is it makes an extra consideration put into place other than, is this person capable for that job? It also puts extra stipulations on there saying we must find somebody that is of a protected class of some sort or fashion, which slows down the process and doesn't always let the most qualified go to the job. I would say that the Federal Aviation Administration, where there's tin cans floating around in the sky, may be trying to make sure that we have people of a diverse nature in there would be less significant than making sure that the people that have the mental or physical capacity as a primary concern to be able to perform the job function better than other candidates should be the primary concern. It is not something that it is something that has been taken advantage of in the past, where a certain group of people were excluded from certain positions. But that does not mean that we are still acting the same way we did 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
This is not the 1960s. This is not the 50s or the 40s or the 30s from the 1900s. We are in the 21st century now with Buck Rogers, although I will say I'm kind of disappointed about our transportation in comparison to what Buck Rogers said we were going to have.
Right.
But anyways, back on track. I'm going to say that we need to make sure that the jobs are filled with the most qualified, not qualifying those who are unqualified simply because they fit a check in the box that has absolutely no value to the performance of that function. Hey, Sheriff Hector, thanks for joining. Paul says this started when everyone gets a trophy started. It's bullshit.
Yep.
Ditto. I won't fly with DEI in the tower. Yeah, well, it's, other than the fact that I'm broke because I've been shoved off as a crazy veteran, I'm going to say that, well, not that I ever wanted to be in the tower anyways, but I also don't want to fly in these places where everybody's so woke. The woke doesn't help me. Doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy.
I prefer just to take a nice road trip.
I do too.
Yeah.
Road trips are awesome.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Mexican-American woman delivers indisputable truth bombs about why she voted for Trump.
Let's listen.
We should.
I would love to wake up every day.
Here we go.
My biggest problem be whatever I want to get upset about on the internet and whatever I want to let stir me up. I see that it says Carmen in Austin. So I'm guessing that you're in Texas. I'm born and raised here in California, okay? Mexican-American. And because I was born on this side of the border, I do not get benefits that illegal immigrants are getting in the state of California. So again, if you are not in California, you are not in my state, you don't know what's going on over here. As an illegal immigrant, we have something that our health insurance system, it's called Medi-Cal, okay? Not medical, Medi-Cal, that is government-funded free health insurance. As an illegal immigrant, you immediately qualify for Medi-Cal, okay? Do you know what it costs to pay for health insurance for a family of 4 in the state of California? Let's compare Mexicans to Mexicans, apples to apples, okay? My girlfriend, stay-at-home mom, Mexican, married to a husband, Mexican, raising 2 children, Mexican, family of 4, okay? He works a modest average American job. The health insurance for a family of 4, okay, $1,300 a month. Whereas an illegal immigrant walks in and gets offered free health insurance. My friends are not making an insane amount of money. She's a stay-at-home mom. They drive average paid off cars. They rent an average home. It's nice, but it's nothing lavish. They don't drive a luxury vehicle. They're not driving Mercedes. I think they have a Kia, like a family Kia that they share. And so that family that is hardworking and again, they're living an average working class life pays $1,300 a month, but the illegal immigrant that just comes in gets free healthcare. That is a policy that Trump said absolutely not. That is what I voted on. Another policy that I voted on here in the state of California as an illegal immigrant, when you cross that border, you qualify for a Stay Connected plan. Stay Connected is a phone plan through Verizon for illegal immigrants and displaced homeless people where you get free phones. You get a free iPhone and a free plan so you can stay connected to your family back in Mexico. I pay $230 a month through Verizon for 2 iPhones, 2 lines. Why is it because I was born on this side of the border as a Mexican American, I have to pay $230 a month for my phone, but an illegal immigrant gets a free phone? Again, policy when you ask, what did I vote on? That. I graduated from UCLA, okay? I have a bachelor's degree. I paid for that bachelor's degree. As an illegal immigrant, you qualify for funding. you qualify for first generation. And if you're a dreamer, you qualify, a DACA recipient, you qualify for funding and federal aid. You qualify for grants that I don't get. Why? Because I was born on this side of the border. So the same education, I worked here, my family worked here, I put in the time, the hours, the effort, whatever. We are the same, but because you were born on that side of the border, you don't have to pay. Why? It's so when you're coming to me and you're saying, like, I don't know what policies I voted on, all I did was vote based off of policy. Do you think I voted for Trump because I think that he's a great representation of moral fiber? Do you think that I look at that man and I go, wow, what a pillar of strength, I wish he was mine? That man has multiple baby mamas, multiple divorces, and he's wild when he gets behind a microphone. I don't look at him as the epitome of the end all be all. He is not our savior. But when he came in and he said, enough is enough, we're putting Americans first, that is exactly what I voted on. So when you want to advocate and say that you're for the Mexican people, be for all Hispanics and not just the ones that were born on that side of the border, because you don't get to pick and choose which Mexicans you care about. Because when you say that you care about the Mexican people and then you only want to care about those that were born in another country, then you're living in the wrong place. I care about Americans. And when you say, again, what are they doing for the Mexican community? Like, what policies? That's the policy that I voted on. He was putting Mexican Americans first. It was no longer this, oh, you came over the border, let me give you everything. Do you know what our governor, Gavin Newsom, proposed? He ended up vetoing his bill, so it didn't go past. But, you know, California, we hold up to 33% of the nation's population. That means for every 100 people in the United States that are homeless, 33 of them live right here in the great state of California. And do you know what Gavin Newsom did? He went on national television. Again, our great liberal governor went on national television and said, I want to give $150,000 down payment cash to illegal immigrants so we can help them purchase homes. He said that on national television. If you are an illegal immigrant, every illegal immigrant is going to get $150,000 down payment. Meanwhile, in California, we have 33% of the nation's homeless population, and a majority of them reside here in LA. So when you're saying, I don't know what I'm voting for, that's an issue. Again, the bill ended up getting vetoed. It ended up not passing. But even though how comfortable he felt proposing that to the Californians was crazy to me. So no, it's not a matter of I'm not racist. It's not a matter of I hate my people. It's a matter of Americans need to come first.
Thoughts?
So it's not about Mexicans. Surprise. Who saw that one coming? I think we all had that one on our bingo card, that those who are perpetuating these problems that we have in our nation that are creating more and more of the problems are picking and choosing who they actually care about. Of course, we know the real reason why they're picking and choosing, because they're slavers. They are no different than the same people who said, who's going to pick our cotton? Same party, by the way, if you're keeping tabs on that one. Yeah, because they want to give these people free stuff and then pull the rug out from underneath them. Meanwhile, they screw the rest of us over who were born here, who have been fighting and bleeding and dying, trying to make America exactly what it's supposed to be. Meanwhile, we were being hamstrung the entire time by the people that were filling their own pockets. The continuation of what the South was, right? Not what the South was ever supposed to be. See, people care about a fair opportunity. There has not been a fair opportunity, and we're giving it to people who don't even care about the way things are. But
they don't care about our country.
They don't care about our country because they care about themselves.
Yeah.
And they want birds of a feather flock together. So they bring, people who care about themselves just as much, but it doesn't work out for the people who want to have something that works out very well for everybody that wants to play along. Mm-hmm. The mentality is changing. And people are seeing this. Clearly, she's not somebody who supports President Trump as of right now. She didn't, she voted for him, but it sounds like she was one of those ones that was kind of holding her nose when she voted because she recognized that it was better. She doesn't see him as a savior, and he might not be a savior, but he certainly seems to be doing the things that we would expect America to be. And if you believe that this is God's country, then that means that you believe that President Trump was put here to save us from these very evil schemes that have been perpetrated against us. So no matter how we get there, It's something that we can agree upon. Whether or not you like somebody, we agree on the principles that are being put forth. And I can't think of something more American than us putting our differences aside because we recognize what's more important to us as a whole. And I think that that's exactly one of the awakenings that this great awakening and this golden era that we're heading into is all about. Recognizing that our differences and having a reason to come together about something is much greater than everybody being a special little snowflake that gets a trophy.
Exactly.
Trophies, yeah, you can't eat a trophy.
Ugh. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Stephen Miller makes fake Jake Tapper look and sound like a fool.
Let's listen.
Let's listen.
There's 2 million employees in the federal government. Overwhelmingly, the career federal service in this country is far left wing. The American people.
I don't know that to be a fact.
Well, I'll give you a great example. We looked at USAID as an example.
That's
98% of the workforce either donated to Kamala Harris or another left-wing candidate, just as an example.
okay, but
let me just
demonizing an entire workforce is having a
whoa. Did you just say that saying someone voted for Kamala Harris is demonizing them?
No.
So according
your suggestion is that there's a bias.
No, but you used the word demonizing. You just said that I'm demonizing somebody by saying they voted for Kamala Harris.
Let's get back on track.
But I am on track.
Okay.
Let me stay on track. What I'm saying to you is this: there are 2 million employees in the federal government.
Right.
They're overwhelmingly left of center.
Again,
the American people. I got to finish the sentence.
Okay.
I got to finish the sentence. The American people voted for dramatic change implemented by Donald Trump. So it is a
Thoughts.
That sounds like there were shots fired over there at CNN. Ooh, got a little heated. He didn't like the fact that it was being pointed out that 98% of USAID is overwhelmingly far left of center and has no desire to come across the aisle. I could think of nothing better than to cut funding on if it's paid for by all of the people and it only represents a very small fraction of what this entire nation is. That is something that is divisive, and those divisive things must be cut like fat from a good steak.
Mm-hmm.
It's not healthy, it's not good for us, and so therefore it must go. And that's how we take care of things, so that way everybody has an opportunity to, well, make their life better than what it was based off of their own actions. How is it that CNN, boy, they just keep on like showing people on CNN what facts really are and the way things are. I think that that's great. I could really get behind people that watch CNN religiously finally hear the truth for a change, something a little bit more balanced. And that's what balanced reporting kind of sounds like.
Yes.
A differing view.
Yes. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
All right. Y'all know we love Mike Lindell and the fact that he put him through self, words are hard. Oh my God, it's a Monday. Cut me some slack. Anyways, that he put himself through absolute hell because he believes in America, and he put his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor on the line because he was trying to tell people about the fact that the election was stolen. I know we're going to get to that part eventually at some point in time, but he went through the ringer. And so that's why we support him. Another reason why we support MyPillow is because, well, we use so many of their products and we put our money where our mouth is, and we wouldn't tell you all about something that we don't actually use ourselves. There's tons of great products. And all I do is ask that you check them out, especially if you're in the market. And if you are in the market, make sure you go to mypillow.com/DTOO.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
When you get closer to God, you realize how much of Him sustains you and how much greater the way of living with God is. It's almost like when you become a Christian and when you begin to realize His goodness, you realize how bitter and how gross and tasteless some of the things of the world are.
Yeah.
And some of the habits of the world are. And so the more you get to know God, the more you're changed.
Sure.
And the more your actions and the way you live and the way you think changes.
Thoughts?
So when we choose to dedicate our lives to our Creator, our life is necessarily going to change. We are going to go through trials to make sure that that's what we want to do. But at the same time, we also get shown that we will be led to green pastures. We just have to make it through the valley of the shadow of death to ensure that our faith is solid. So it is a challenge, but when we choose to make God as the central part of our life, everything changes and it becomes so much more beautiful and rewarding that way, as opposed to living life for ourselves and our own selfish interests. Paul says, I believe Trump was put there to save us. Agreed. No one else would do what he's doing. Sadly, it was impossible to find somebody that had the ability to be able to fight the powers that be. But I'm sure, and I know deep down inside, that there's plenty of Americans who are right alongside with the way President Trump is running things. And they'll actually have an opportunity in the future when we're not giving away a whole bunch of government pork to a whole bunch of very one-sided organizations that have zero oversight, like USAID. If they don't have the money, then they can't buy the things that they've been buying, which are generally for the destruction of this nation that we love so much. Thank God for President Trump, because he's making it possible for us to take our country back.
Yes.
Stephen Miller is awesome.
He is. Are you ready?
Yes.
How about some Tucker?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
Tucker's awesome.
Which is why do we have so many guns?
No,
we're free.
No, didn't ask.
We're free because no one can tell us we
didn't
can't
say
defend
that.
ourselves.
We all used to have guns too.
Then you guys, after the Second World War, which was like a liberation war, and you won, you lost all your freedom, and now you can't even express your political opinions, or they put you in jail. So, how did you win? How did you win? Is that what victory looks like? You lose all your rights, your economy gets destroyed.
You know why we won?
Bankers.
We
and all
won.
of a sudden, oh, I won.
We won because I'm not conducting this interview in German, which I would
So
have
it's a
been.
linguistic
So
thing.
I'd rather not speak German and be goose stepping around my yard in England.
But you are goose stepping. People are arrested for praying.
We literally won our freedom.
Where's your freedom?
I'm as free as you could possibly want a human being to
You
be.
can't defend yourself. You can't control who comes into your country, and you can't criticize government policies or you get arrested. So how are you free? You're a slave.
Thoughts?
All right. So if you ever wanted to know what Stockholm Syndrome sounded like, I'm going to go ahead and say that Piers Morgan is a prime example of fighting for your captors.
Mm-hmm.
We're free as can be. Really. As Tucker points out, every single thing that shows that they're not a free people. We care about our brothers and sisters over there on the other side of the pond. We have a kindred past that is important for us to understand, that makes up what is the United States of America today. It is not the sole history part of this country, but it is a significant part. And we broke away from Great Britain because of those very reasons. They didn't want the people to have a voice. They didn't want the people to have a say in their own lives. So what do? They take the first opportunity that they can over there in Europe to take away the ability of the people to defend themselves, which tyrants have used that tactic through time immemorial, and used it to subjugate the very people who used to be free. It's just done a little bit more slowly now, as opposed to physically taking over a country with an army. Now they use psychological operations against their people to enslave them. The rest of the world needs our help, but we can't help anybody else until we have helped ourselves first. You can't fill an empty cup with an empty pitcher. So we must make sure that the pitcher that is the United States has the ability to hold that which we wish to pour into other countries' cups, so that way they can have their cup runneth over too. Chachi says, modern day Britain is a perfect example of how screwed we would have been if we didn't gain our independence, and it would have been so much more.
You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
All right. JD Vance explains how diversity policies have definitely short-staffed air traffic controllers. This is what we were getting at earlier. Makes it impossible to hire the people you need that are qualified to do the job.
There you go. Let's listen.
Let's do it.
Now, the president's been very clear about this. This is not saying that the person who is at the controls is a DEI hire, but let's just say, first of all, we should investigate everything. But let's just say the person at the controls didn't have enough staffing around him or her because we were turning people away because of DEI reasons. There is a very direct connection between the policies of the last administration and short-staffed air traffic controllers. That has to stop. And by the way, it's so funny to me, the media has picked up on this, not you, of course, Maria, but others have picked up on this. The president made very clear that he wasn't blaming anybody, but he was being very explicit about the fact that DEI policies have led our air traffic controllers to be short-staffed. That is a scandal. Thankfully, it's a scandal that the president has stopped.
Thoughts?
Sadly, it's about putting extra requirements on the ability to hire new people. Sadly, that is detrimental to even our transportation in the skies. We need people who are qualified more than we need a specific group of qualified people. Everybody deserves a chance, but if they aren't qualified, then we shouldn't prevent those who are qualified to be able to do that job from being able to do that job. Otherwise, it all grinds to a halt and people lose their faith in really just going to the airport and putting their life in danger on a plane because it reduces the amount of time that it takes to go from point A to point B. I think that having a strong airline industry is important to our nation, but we can't have that if people don't feel safe merely getting on a plane and wondering whether or not they're playing I don't know, aircraft roulette.
Yeah. Which, no, thank you.
Sounds like a hard no.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't feel like playing that game today.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, please don't let me live under the flight path.
Yeah. Ugh. You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
All right. Why couldn't the Biden regime find the missing children?
Let's listen.
That's a question we've all been asking.
Yes.
Okay, so there are over 300,000 missing children in the U.S., migrant children, mind you. And Trump has already found 80,000 of them, and he hasn't been in office for about a week. Not to be rude, but what the hell was Biden doing? The administration said that, yes, we know that there are missing children, and you know what? We're determined to go ahead and locate them. Meanwhile, the numbers just keep going up and up and up, and nobody has an answer as to why. I don't know, guys. It's looking real fishy to me. Real fishy, because in a week, a lot has been done in the past 4 years. But I knew something was a little bit fishy when they started just removing DNA testing as of May of 2023, something like that. The end of May, but beginning of June of 2023, they ended DNA testing. So how are people at the border able to determine family members? You know, I could just say I'm with anybody without DNA testing. This is weird. Now we wait for those children to speak. Because what the hell? What the hell?
Thoughts?
All right. So imagine that. if we actually pay attention to what's going on, as opposed to just rubber stamping everything and shuttling it on down the paperwork trail, you might actually be able to find some of the things that are right under your nose as to what the problems are. We just need people who are going to pay attention and make sure, because human trafficking, sadly, is a very pervasive problem that needs to be dealt with.
Bad.
And if we are not paying attention to the things that we should be paying attention to, then any number of things can happen. Like, I don't know, what is it, 80,000 children go missing?
325,000.
Or 325,000.
But Trump has found
He's
80
found
of them.
80, yeah. Poof. 80,000 children found out of nowhere. Sadly, I don't know if we're going to be able to find the rest of them. But the good thing is at least 80,000 have been found before they get lost in a bottomless pit of who knows what. And I hope and pray that we get to the bottom of it, so that way we can root out the weeds and make sure that the lawn that is the United States stays nice and pretty as green pastures.
Mm-hmm.
The Biden tards were helping the traffickers. Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they were so busy pardoning themselves.
Exactly.
That's okay. There's legal workarounds for all of it. I'm quite confident.
I am too.
Like when they find out that the election was stolen and fraud vitiates everything, and then it's all poof, whatever. Or we can just send people to international criminal courts and let the international criminal courts deal with it. So many options. So much fun will be had.
Yes, it'll be amazing.
It'll be amazing.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Can you read that, please?
This is not a parody skit. It's the official forum at DNC chair. It's the official forum of DNC chair candidates.
This is sad. Let's listen.
Okay.
And we'll begin with the opening statements. Each candidate will have 30 seconds, and we'll start with Dr. Quintessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair. And I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hathaway.
Well,
Thoughts?
what a compelling argument to vote for her, I guess. How is that supposed to convince anybody of anything?
I don't know.
She needs a voice coach too. Wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt. I mean, a voice coach wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to help, because
I
they're
don't know.
still not understanding the concept that it's based off of ideas and concepts that will further each and every American's ability to help build their lives up is going to be more important than some like off vaudeville kind of like shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I guess simple people respond to simple things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, let's wash our ears out with something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Cartels authorized to use weaponized drones against the Customs and Border Protection. It's time to take them out.
Let's listen.
Really? All right.
We also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that this is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them,
hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley. And they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions. So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Wow.
Okay.
Ready or thoughts?
Yes, I'm ready
Thoughts?
to give you my thoughts. All right. So, so now they're saying that they're going to attack American officials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's something that's going to be interesting. And it's going to be very interesting is it sounds like people have chosen to declare some kind of armed hostilities against the nation of the United States. Now, if they were a foreign nation that was recognized by the United Nations, they would receive, I don't know, something that a lot of people feel is important, and that would be the Geneva Conventions.
Uh-huh.
They're outside of the Geneva Conventions because, well, the Geneva Conventions speak specifically about how the rules of war are supposed to be played. And if you don't play along with those rules of war, no matter who you think you are, if you aren't part of that club, then, well, you just aren't offered those protections. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a whole bunch of FAFO. It's not something that I think that is great. It's not something I look forward to. The loss of life is terrible in any way, form, and fashion, especially when it's human being against human being. We understand that really war is not good for the human psyche. So I don't want it to persist forever. But I do know that since they don't play by the same rules as every other nation has chosen to agree upon, that it could get pretty medieval.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants that.
No.
But at the same time, all the stops will be pulled out because it is a threat unlike any other threat this nation has ever seen, which means that we can take the gloves off. And when you take the gloves off of the United States military, watch out. Watch out, because there's a whole bunch of tricks and interesting little things that have been hidden up the sleeve that we haven't used to its full potential. Even the stuff that we do have as of right now, things are going to change. And they're going to change quickly, especially when you allow the military and our intelligence community, which is still good, by the way, filled with good people, and our federal law enforcement. Once you take the gloves off of them, which is happening as we speak, things will change very quickly, and we will all be a lot safer in very short order. Yeah. Chachi says, I say it's time to disclose that we are using dues and bust them out on the cartels. And I don't know if we do choose to use the directed energy weapons. I don't know if we're actually going to telegraph that until it's all over, if we even say anything at all. That's the one thing about our military industrial complex, is they like to play with a whole bunch of new toys. So there might be some new toys that might get used and nobody will hear about, and there will be some new toys that let everybody know that the U.S. is still the United States. Just the way it is.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
All right.
Never take criticism from somebody you won't take advice from. Never take criticism from somebody you won't take advice from. Baby girl, if you ain't careful, people will have you afraid to be what God called you to be, stuck where you are. You'll be surprised how many people in park will look at you and go, talking about you doing too much. Truth be told, I'm not even doing enough. Girl, fear had me stuck in some places last year. That overthinking had me stuck in some places last year. You had ideas that would have popped off, but you were too afraid to do it because you didn't want to fail. And now you look back and say, I should have did so-and-so. See, people will look at you, baby girl, and be like, I can't believe she gave him them hats in church. But when the hat business blow up and you over there worried about what the haters gonna say, when God said, I'll do exceeding and abundant above all that I could ask for.
Thoughts?
Don't hesitate. If you are inspired, if you get that inspiration of something that you are uniquely qualified to do, no matter how ridiculous it may sound to you, you start inside of your head, you let the thinker inside of your head telling you that you can't, that it won't work, that this or that or the other thing is going to happen. You deny yourself the opportunity to find what could be the exact same, the very thing that you were put here to do. Make sure that you are paying attention to the things that you are being told to do. And if you have that inspiration and you get guidance and ideas given to you from this or that or the other person telling you about how you could be successful, then maybe that is a sign from the other side letting you know that this you should be putting your foot on the gas pedal with this. Don't let the opinions of other people prevent you from doing the very thing that you were put here to do.
Amen.
Make sure that you are building the world that you want to see.
Mhm. Absolutely. Because if he's put it on your heart and in your mind to do it, he's going to make sure you succeed. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
No.
But you'll succeed.
Still got to go through the trials.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So JD Vance went to East Palestine today. Let's listen.
I look forward to hearing this.
Loves this community. Of course, he visited himself personally, and President Trump just wanted to deliver a message that this community will not be forgotten, will not be left behind, and we are in it for the long haul in East Palestine. What does that mean? Well, one thing it means is that, of course, the environmental cleanup has to get done. It's a tragedy and a shame that it wasn't done during the last administration, but I guarantee we're going to finish the cleanup during this administration under the great leadership of Lee Zeldin, our new EP administrator who stands behind me. And I also think that part of that means the long-term economic development of this community. We know that a lot of local businesses and a lot of local people lost a lot when that train disaster happened a couple of years ago. We are committed not just to finishing the environmental side of the cleanup, but hopefully seeing East Palestine build back better and stronger and more prosperous than it was before this disaster happened in the first place.
Thoughts?
So, East Palestine is not forgotten. And that's not the only place where we had some disaster with the trains that kept on crashing all over the place. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that some of that was issues with DEI requirements put on companies and the government, which prevented the people that needed to be there to prevent these kinds of things from happening. This will most certainly lead to other revelations, and it will make sure that our transportation system that is set up is done to a much higher level than it has been done. Also, it will make sure that people have the jobs that the American people need them to be doing. There are things that need to change, but it can't happen until we deal with one problem at a time. It's just like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and we're watching that happen. It's just that the bites that we're seeing are big bites every single day, and we're seeing that progress forward. So let's not think about all the problems that we have, but these are the directions that we're going to, and understanding that something like the people of East Palestine, and that train problem was what, 2 years ago now or so?
Yes.
Yeah, that problem has not been forgotten, and that we are going to get to so many more of the problems that need to be dealt with. We just got to do it step by step.
Yep. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
This is from Miss Jenny.
No.
You ready?
Jenny. Yes.
The more you awaken, the more you will no longer fit into any boxes. You don't fit into the stories, the ideas. You seem to be drifting into nothingness, the unknown. This is because you lose your identity, that which you thought is you, and regain your true self in the unknown. While this frightens the shadow within you, as it can no longer hold on to anything, govern you, it is a process of losing everything that is not you in order to enter the heart of the universe. Infinite love.
Thoughts?
This is spoken of in so many ways, and biblically, we let go of ourselves, which is the same thing about the ego death. We need to recognize that we have to let go of our shadow material. That shadow material is our ego holding on to the world that we live in, when in all reality, we need to let go of our quite ridiculous attempts to control the world around us. It is our ego that tries to control everything. Our ego is useful. It keeps us from walking in front of a bus. It keeps us from doing patently stupid things. But it does mean that we have to let go of our control or illusion of control to try to make the world do the things that we want it to do. And so as we let go of what we want and go with what is for so much more than ourselves, we're able to see that beautiful world. But we can't see the true beauty in the world around us until we take the goggles off of attempting to try to make the world be ours as opposed to all of ours.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Karoline Leavitt highlights why diversity, inclusion, and equity should have no bearing on FAA hires.
Let's listen.
We keep bouncing back to this.
I know.
Okay.
If you are an American who has spent many years studying aviation and you graduate from school and you're an air traffic controller based on skill and merit, and then you apply for a job and you're forced to fill out a biographical questionnaire asking you the color of your skin and asking you where you're from in details that aren't relevant at all to the job description, I think that deteriorates the morale of people in this industry. And if you talk to people in this industry, they'll tell you that. In fact, many of them filed a lawsuit against the FAA a couple of years ago under Joe Biden's administration because they were denied positions because of this DEI hiring practice that was putting identity politics over merit and skills. That's unacceptable. And I think just to put a fine point on this, because this is the third or fourth question I've answered on this subject, when you are flying on an airplane with your loved ones, which every one of us in this room has, do you pray that your plane lands safely and gets you to your destination, or do you pray that the pilot has a certain skin color? I think we all know the answer to that question, and as President Trump said yesterday, it's common sense.
Thoughts?
Why do we have to explain this?
I know. It's sad, isn't it?
I mean, it's something that should just be innately known. I don't care what they look like or what they do in their free time.
Do their job properly. That's what I care about.
Why is that so hard? If you suck at flying planes, I don't want to be on your plane.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. If you don't know how to fly other than to be a dirt dart, I have no desire to be on your plane of doom.
Mm-hmm.
I have no desire to be on a plane of doom or under its flight path. It's important to all of us, whether you fly or not. So let's make sure the most qualified are not only flying the planes, but the most qualified are also making sure that that plane can, arrive safely because they're paying attention to what it is they're doing. It's all anybody's asking for.
That's all we care about. We want to go up, fly, come down safely, get from point A to point B. We just want you to do your job right. That's it.
Why is that? Why is that even a discussion?
Yeah. Like Jenny says, bring back common sense again.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
It really would be nice.
It really would be.
It's coming back. It's just we have to explain it for the people who haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Ugh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Karoline Leavitt responds to questions ahead of President Trump's salty comment.
Let's listen.
All right.
If you could shed any light for us on how the president perceives his use of public profanity, which is a practice that certainly sets him apart from all of his predecessors. Does he regard it as an effective communications device, part of his appeal, or is it something that he lapses into inadvertently, perhaps in times of frustration and later regrets?
I think one of the things that the American people love most about this president is that he often says what they are thinking, but sometimes lack the courage to say themselves. And I think yesterday at this podium, you heard President Trump express great frustration, perhaps even anger, with the previous administration's policies, many of which have led to the crises that our country is currently facing and that this president is focused on fixing.
Thoughts?
I mean, shouldn't he be focused on fixing problems? Isn't that what they're there for, is to make sure that it's a well-oiled machine? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, those who whine and cry about things not going their way are going to do what they do best, and that's to whine and cry. It's just, we don't care about their whining and crying anymore.
We're
So
over it.
go put your pussy hat on and cry in the streets, and we'll continue to ignore you because doing it your way hasn't fixed anything. Hope says, party of common sense. Common sense doesn't grow in everyone's garden. No, ma'am, it does not.
Yep.
DJT is a real dude and talks like one. Exactly, Chachi. I agree.
Yep. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
If you chase butterflies, they'll always slip through your grasp. The harder you run, the further they flee. But the wise do not chase. They build. They cultivate. They create something so powerful that the world can't help but take notice. You want success? Stop chasing it. Forge yourself into someone's success cannot ignore. You want love? Stop begging for it. Become someone so rare it cannot resist you. A lion doesn't chase its throne. It rules because it was born to. Build your mind like a fortress, your discipline like stone, your purpose like fire, and watch as everything you once chased now follows you. So ask yourself, will you keep running after ghosts, or will you stand still, build your kingdom, and let the world come to you?
Let the
Thoughts?
let the world come to you. There's no reason you need to chase everything down. There's no reason you need to beg for anything. We all know, we say it all the time, he has our purpose. And as long as we're listening and we're doing what we're supposed to do and we go with the flow, there's no reason for any of that. There's no reason to chase anything. There's no reason to beg for anything. It is about just surrender and knowing that everything's going to be wonderful. You know, when Santino and I met almost 26 years ago, we weren't looking for anything other than friendship. And that's when we found true love. It's okay to just go with the flow and know that everything's going to be okay. Seasoning?
So, very well said.
Thank you.
I'm going to say that I heard that if you want butterflies, you plant butterfly bushes. If you build it, they will come. But the only way you can build it is by focusing on that which is important and making that which creates the beauty in the world that you want to see. Do your part. And everybody will decide that they like what you're doing, if they do, and then they will either want to come over there illegally and take all of it, or if it's done right, you can show them how they can create that beauty in their own world. And I think in the end, that's what we really want, is we want everybody to be able to create the beauty in the world that we all want to see, but we all get our own little slice of it. So that way the world is beautiful no matter where we look. We need to make sure that we're building something beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anyways.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Thank you.
Anyway. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. We kind of hit it tonight. Jenny says, when you focus on yourself, things fall into place.
Amen, sweetie. Amen.
Very well said. Just got to do it non-egotistically.
Yes.
Isn't that the trick?
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right, everybody. We do truly appreciate you joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow at that time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, or not or, but and on one of the channels of your choice, be it Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you're on Facebook, there's like 7 choices, and you're our family. You like to push buttons. Go over there and clickety-click away.
All right, everybody. We look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow night, and we do truly appreciate you joining us this evening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and we'll just catch you tomorrow. All right, everybody. We love you all. Have a great night. Be safe, and God bless each and every one of you.